Welcome back, besties. It is Mother, and I am here despite the world trying to take me the fuck down. Before I jump into everything, I want to let you know those dates I had to reschedule for Nashville and Raleigh. There's still a few tickets left, so if you guys are in Nashville or if you're in Raleigh and you want to come hang out with me, I don't even know if I remember how to do comedy anymore. I'll be honest. I'm not so sure that I do. It's been a while. I've been doing comedy with like Raina and Theo, and I've been featuring for people, but I haven't been working on my new set. So I'm going to work on my new set and we're going to have a lot of fun, and I would love to see you and say hi. The Raleigh date is June 16th and the Nashville date is June 18th. So go on my website, BrittanySchmitt.com, BrittanySchmitt.com for tickets. Okay, we're back. We're back. What's up? How we doing? I'm bad, maybe never been worse. I know last week I was like, do I complain about? And then like God really gave me something to complain about. I'm here, Biggie's not, and that is it's the most devastating thing I've ever been through in my life. For any of you who have ever lost a pet, know what I'm going through right now. It's taking everything in me to just get out of bed in the morning, but I'm here and I'm showing up because I think it's important that I keep going and I don't fall down a hole. That I don't fall into a well of despair, because I'll tell you what, Mama wants to fucking get in bed and eat bad food and then eat more bad food and then doom scroll. And then for some reason, Instagram hasn't caught on to the fact that my dog died. So all it's showing me is like the cutest little reels of dogs. And I'm like, I don't have one anymore. And so I can't do that. I can't keep being sad. My house is filled with flowers. My friends are so wonderful. I'm surrounded by so many great things. I'm so grateful for my life and to be here, but fuck is this painful. I'm going to get into all of that later, because if I get into that now, first of all, I'm going to ruin your fucking Monday, and that's not what I'm here for. I don't want to ruin your fucking Monday, okay? I want you guys to have a great day. I want you to have a great week. I want you to have a good commute to work. I want you to be distracted, and I want us to kiki a little bit. All right. I have some tea, and it's like, it's dark. It's dark tea. All my tea is dark. Okay. It's English breakfast. So there was this guy who used to DM me, and he was a congressman. And every time I would go to DC, he's like, let me know when you have a show. I want to like rent out the club. I want to da. And I was like, okay, anyone who's going to DM me and tell me they're going to rent out the whole club for one of my shows, I'm in. You know, Mama needs to sell tickets. I will DM you back if you say that shit. So he would be like, I live in California, but I'm in DC sometimes. And I'm like, I don't care. I don't care about what you do, why you're here, who you are. I don't fucking care. And you know, I'll say I looked at him and I was like, this guy looks like he got beat with a fucking ugly stick. Not in a way that's like he's objectively horrifying looking, but he just had like a darkness in his face, and I was like, ooh, like energetically, like, ugh. I wouldn't go near that person, you know, unless of course they're gonna buy out an entire room of seats and bring people to a comedy show. Then I will shake his hand and say hello and thank you, and that's all I'll do. So anyway, long story long, it was Eric Swalwell, whatever, Eric, and the fucking roof is falling down on this guy. If you guys don't know who this person is, he is a congressman for California, and I guess it's coming out that he was like brutally drugging, raping, beating women. And when I heard it, I was like, wait, why do I know that name? And it's not very often a congressman DMs me, okay? I'm not a politician's favorite person, I'll be honest. But I was like, wait a minute, is that the guy? And then I went and I saw he no longer followed me, but then I checked our messages, and yeah, it was fucking him. Drugging, beating, raping women. I was this close, you guys. I was nicked by the protection of the good Lord. That didn't happen to me. Here's the thing. I think when people find out that I'm sober, they're like, oh, she's going to be a little tougher to take down. You know, I'm a sturdy bitch. I don't know if you guys know this about me. A lot of you have met me in person. You're like, oh, you're taller than I thought, which is the way you're going to say I'm a big bitch. All right. I'm a farm hand hoe. I grew up in the summer baling hay. All right. I mucked stalls. I am sturdy. It's going to take hurricane force winds to knock this bitch over. I'm not wafy. I'm not frail. Nobody has ever once been like, oh, she looks hungry. Nobody's ever accused me of looking hungry a day in my life. All right. I eat my feelings. I eat some more. That's what I do. I eat. I'm 5'9". All right, fine. I'm 5'8" and like 3/4, but I'm 5'9", and I'm a big bitch. All right. I'm 160 pounds on a good day. On a bad day, I'm less, but I'm sturdy. You know, it's going to take like a plow to knock me over. And sure, maybe a roofie would do it. But roofies, here's the thing about roofies that you don't know, but the whole gay community knows this. If you take GHB without alcohol, it's just like the greatest thing in the world. If you take GHB with alcohol, you will fall into a coma and wake up and have no fucking idea what happened. And that moment of your life, from the time you drink it to the time you come back online, it's going to be like Men in Black. Like they hit you with the fucking memory stick. Like, zoop. You don't know what the fuck happened. All right. But if you just take GHB, so like for me, imagine me in the club drinking a Sprite, because I'm not drinking Diet Cokes anymore because mom can't even handle a little caffeine or she gets crazy, you know? I'm not even drinking a Diet Coke anymore. I'm drinking a Sprite. Imagine you put Rufalin in my fucking Sprite, and then I'm just like the chillest bitch alive. And then I'm just like having the best time of my life, but I still have my wits about me, right? Unless I overdose on GHB. That's another thing, but I still have like my wits about me. And I still would be like, you know, I could throw a fucking punch. I could bob and weave. Okay, maybe not. I don't know. I've never done GHB without the booze, but my gays tell me it's the best thing in the world. And I'm not telling you to do it, but I'm saying if you want to do it, because life is short. We don't know how long we're going to be here. I thought my dog was going to live forever. I thought Biggie was going to live to 18. The way I was so cocky that dog would live forever. I, again, can't get into that now. But in my heart, even when the doctor told me, like, your dog is dying, I was like, you're a fucking hack. I was like, you're not a real vet. Like this, I was like gaslighting myself the whole time. I was like, no, he's not. He's going to live until he's 18. Every time I've ever met anyone in an airport, they're like, oh my God, I had a min bin. He lived until 15. He lived until 16. She lived until 17. Da, 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 da. I was like, Biggie's going to live forever. Biggie's going to outlive me. Okay. Life is short. Do the drugs. Buy the heels. Shop. That's another thing. First of all, I don't know who said when you're going through grief, you should shop. Here's the thing. And I said, I'm not going to get into this now. Maybe I am. I don't think I can. I have to put it off a little longer. But I will say, I'll get into the nitty gritty later. But I did spend 12 grand on Biggie in his last week trying to keep him alive. Didn't fucking work. So I'm out a lot of money. And we know this year's just been a curb stomp of a year for mama. I'm out a lot of money. And then on top of that, I was like, I'm sad and I feel nothing. I feel numb. Let me shop. So I went and got myself some Rimowa suitcases. That's a crazy purchase, by the way. That is so fucking expensive for a suitcase. But the thing is, they have a lifetime warranty and mama travels a lot. And when I tell you I blow through suitcases, like I got away suitcases last time, I busted through those bitches. I got the titanium ones, or they're aluminum ones. And, the big one that I got, the handle stopped going up and down. So I tried to take it in, and for whatever reason, they couldn't find my file. So they wouldn't fix the handle. It's like, hey guy, I'm here with your suitcase. It's clearly your suitcase. Where do you think I got this from? Like, why would you not just fix the fucking handle away? I paid $800, $900 for that bag? Fix the fucking handle. It's beat to shit. It looks like hell. I mean, literally, when you put it in a away suitcase, the first time you check it, it's going to come back out looking like you went to a fucking, the Delta bag boys went to the fucking shooting range with it. Like, it's going to look absolutely fucking insane. But like, hey man, fix the fucking handle. And he wouldn't fix it. So this was me in the Melrose store. I was like, so you're telling me, you're looking me right dead in the soul, even though I can show him on my phone where the transaction was. I could bring the transaction up. But for some reason, one of their employees like put a fucking typo in the system and didn't register it as my bag. So now you're not going to fix my handle and walk up and down. It just gets jammed. And then I was like, time, because the airlines are going to jam it down to put it on the flight. There was a time it wouldn't come up and it was just this tiny little handle and I was pushing it around with my fingertips and I was like, I have worked too hard to live a life like this. I have worked too hard to live like this. And then my other away bag, my carry-on, the fucking snaps just busted off of all of it. Like, you know, the snaps that keep the things, the clothes down, they all just fucking broke. And I was like, what am I going to do? Take this into away again? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, fuck you. I'm buying a Rimowa. So they have like an airtight customer service and lifetime guarantee. So this is a purchase I made. And I'll be honest, Max bought me one of them, but I bought the other one. And it'll be a lifetime purchase, but it doesn't feel good. Okay. So whoever said when you're sad, go shop, that person's your fucking op. Okay. Because when you're sad and you shop, then you're just sad and poor. And there's nothing worse than being sad and poor. Sad about the loss of an animal, which, by the way, I would rather members of my family die than me lose a dog. My losing that dog, I would have rather gotten a phone call that my entire family, minus my dad and sister, went down in a fucking plane. And I would be like, I can deal with that. I can deal with that loss because you know what? Their presence in my life isn't that extraordinary. My dog's presence in my life was the most healing part of the last 12 years of my life. And also, by the way, I got his age wrong. Last year I celebrated his 12th birthday. He wasn't 12. He would have turned 12 on May 21st, but you know, he's not going to. So, he was like 11. Oh, he's 11. He was 11 years, 11 months. That's kind of nice. Those are angel numbers. Yeah, I mean, losing a dog is the most painful thing in the world. I would truly rather lose most of my family, but I would be fine. I would get rid of them myself. If I had to push a button that dropped them into a fiery well, I would do that. If I could just keep my dog forever. I would rather my mom kill herself again than Biggie be dead. Like, the grief isn't even hitting me. It's not even registering. I'm in denial. I'm angry. I'm mad about everything, you guys. I'm so fucking mad about everything. Like last night, Max was watching the Knicks. He's from New York, born and raised. But I've never seen him watch a Knicks game before. They lost by 1 point to the Atlanta Hawks. And then turned the TV off. He was mad. I was like, what, you're mad now? I was like, what? What, now you're a Knicks fan? And now you're mad about this? And he was like, I've lived in New York my whole life. Can I not root for a team? I was like, why do we suddenly care? Why do we suddenly care? Every time anyone does anything wrong to me, I'm like, let's fucking fight. I'm fighting mad. I'm in my Pilates class. Oh, which by the way, my Pilates studio is shutting down. The one place here that's been tethering me to some sort of routine and reality, they're like, we're going out of business. And at this point, here's what I will say. I do feel like I am being rejected by Palm Beach. I do feel like, you know, when your body rejects like a fake tit or like your body rejects an implant, like I feel like that's me and West Palm Beach. Like they're just like, no, literally I got here. I got robbed by my friends. What else happened? I got robbed by my friends. My dog died. My studio closed. Like, I'm just like, okay, I feel like I'm not supposed to be here. This feels really bad. This feels really, really bad. And it's funny because last week I was like, do I complain too much? And someone's like, yeah, you complain a lot. Maybe go do some community service. Bitch, being alive is my community service. Doing this podcast is my community service. I can't do community service. This is it. This is all I have in me. I would love to do community service. I applied for a job at a rehab and they didn't get back to me. And I guess maybe being a comedian for 10 years isn't like super strong on a resume in terms of what they need in order to facilitate family members of people going through some of the most grave tragedies of their life, which is trying to get sober or trying to help a family member get sober. But I'm like, I will make them laugh. Okay. I'll make them laugh. Anyway, back to Eric Swalwell. What's his name? Eric Swalwell, whatever. This California congressman. Of course, he's the only person who's ever DM'd me from United States politics ever. I'm a big bitch. He saw that, and I think he saw a game, recognized game, and he never came to a fucking show. And I'm glad his little pit bull looking ass face didn't come to a show. And here's what I will say. You really got to watch out for these virtue signalers. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. In his profile on his Instagram, which should be deactivated, by the way, that should be the correct thing to do, is completely deactivate your shit. You're going through it. You got to shut down shop. Okay. You're not supposed to be leaving this up to make it look good on paper. It doesn't look good on paper. None of this looks good. All right. Shut it down. Chinatown. You're out of the race. You're not going to be the California governor. But I looked at his bio when I was trying to figure out, is this the guy that was DMing me? And it still says father to da-da-da, husband to da-da-da. Take it down. Take it out. You weren't a very good dad, were you? When you were drugging and raping women in the bottom of a fucking well in Washington, D.C. When you were in a fucking coat closet in Washington, D.C. strong-arming a bitch you just met on the internet. Like, you're not a good person. Stop acting like you are. And here's what I've been saying, and I'll say it again, and I will say it until the day that I die. Watch out for the virtue signalers. Watch out for the girls, the self-proclaimed girls, the ones that I'm a girl's girl. Bitch, no, you ain't. No, you ain't. I saw you hit on another person's man. I saw you hit on my man. I see how you move. You think just because you say you're a girl's girl to the world means that the world won't see how you move? I don't understand why people think we can't see through this shit. And maybe a lot of people can't. Maybe they read a bio and they're like, no, look, it says here he's a father, he's a Christian, he's a husband. No. He can't be the one drugging and raping bitches in the bottom of at a fucking bar in Washington, D.C. But guess what? He is, because all the people that virtue signal are the worst people in the world, and whether or not they want to believe it or whether or not they want to accept it in this lifetime is their business, not ours. All we can do is try and keep our side of the street clean, which I'll be honest, I'm not that great at that. I do my best. I fucking try, but it's not going great, And that's why I always say, I am not a girl's girl. There are hoes out there I don't like for real. There's shit I've done in my past and in my present that's not great. I am not that good of a person. So if something ever comes out about me where it's like Brittany did X, Y, and Z, y'all at least can be like, well, you know what she didn't do? She didn't lie. She didn't pretend she was something else. Because that's where I think if we want to go into a little human exploration here, I think that's where we get all fucked up, right? When the expectation of us is this, and then the reality of us is something far different, that's when we start to grind up against ourselves, right? Because our ego's like, no, we're a father, we're a congressman, we're a good person, and we serve our community and our country, and we da 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 da. But then deep beneath that is the shadow self, and the shadow self is like, whatever happened to that man that made him want to drug and rape women, I will never understand, because I do not have the brain of a sick person, somebody who's sick in that way. But there are many men sick in this way, right? Did you guys see? And this is also not good news. I'm sorry this podcast is not good news, but it's news and we need to know it. There was an online rape institution, and 63 million men from most from the United States went onto this private forum. 63 million. Do you know how many people that is? Like, I think the person with the most Instagram followers on the internet was, for the longest time, Selena Gomez. I don't know if it still is. I think she had like 200 million followers. Hang on, let me look right now. You guys, this episode is brought to you by Berber. As always, Berber hair oil is my favorite. I'm in a hair mask right now. I've been doing 3 a week in an effort to grow my hair out. My hair has grown a few inches in the last year, and it's all thanks to Berber hair. It's Berber burdock oil that I do a derma roller on my hair 2 to 3 times a week. I also get I have a little scalp massager that I do, and I've been adding this little electromagnetic wand to stimulate hair growth. So, but start with the Berber oil, get yourself a derma roller, a bottle of oil, and a mermaid brush. Do the slick back 2 to 3 times a week. You only need to leave it on for 2 to 3 hours for it to work. But if you really want to indulge, you can leave it on overnight. That'll just give it some more time to do its magic. But I promise you, it is a growth strengthening, lengthening serum that will change your life. Go to Berber.com, BUR.com. Use the code BRITT for 15% off your first order. BRITT at Berber.com, BUR.com. Thank me later. Okay, you guys, I have another sponsor this episode. We have Happy Caps sponsoring us. Happy Caps are mushrooms. I'm just going to be honest. That's what they are. They're mushrooms. They're psychedelic mushrooms, but you can use them in low dose. You can do microdosing, which a lot of people are doing to swap out for their antidepressants. I'll be honest, it doesn't work for me because I'm on antidepressants that work for me. I am on Lexapro, that's what mama needs. Mama needs a heavier dose. Mama can't be handled by nature. But if you want to give it a shot, you can go happycaps.com Actually, I'm sorry. It's happycapswellness.com. happycapswellness.com. You can do microdoses. They also have chocolate. They have honey. They have different ways to explore this. But I think there's a lot of movements going on right now, and there's a lot of research going on in the psilocybin area. I think there's maybe was just a bill passed recently. I don't know. I saw Joe Rogan hanging out with Donald Trump, and I was like, that's not good. But I think it was to pass some laws around regulating medicinal psilocybin. I could be wrong. I don't know. Either way, you can go to Happy Caps Wellness. You can give it a try for yourself. They have capsules, they have honeys, they have chocolates, they have all sorts of different things for you to start your journey. They also have dosing guides. You do need to know your dose. I am not encouraging this for anybody in full sobriety. But I have had wonderful experiences with Happy Caps. They are perfectly dosed, well-regulated medicinal psilocybin. So go to happycapswellness.com. There's a shop passcode to get into the shop. It's Goodhealth, Goodhealth. And then if you want a 20% discount, you can use HCW, all uppercase 20, HCW 20 for a 20% off discount. Go to happycapswellness.com and enjoy your journey to the moon. Selena Gomez has 414 million followers on Instagram. That is an extraordinary amount. But if anyone had 62 million followers on Instagram, you would be blown the fuck away. They would be getting brand deals that make them hundreds of millions of dollars. They would be printing fucking money. 62 million people is all of the people. It is so many fucking people. It hurts my heart knowing that there were that many men getting online thinking, how I'm going to take this fucking course in how to drug and rape women. And I think we would all, unfortunately, a lot of us would be astonished to know who some of those people are. Yeah, some of them are going to be fucking losers, okay? Some of them are going to be people that it doesn't surprise anyone because they're scum of the earth and they seem like scum of the earth. But some of them, I think it would really surprise us. I think there would be all walks of life in there. There would be doctors. There would be pediatricians. There would be surgeons. There would be heart surgeons. There would be people keeping our loved ones alive that secretly want to drug and rape women. And that is like the dark underbelly of the society that we live in. Is this society is so soul sick. And I don't know. I keep looking around for a sign everything's going to get better. And then my dog died. So I just don't, the one thing tethering me to like safety and sanity just was like, actually, I'm dying in 10 days. From the time of the diagnosis to the minute I had to put him down, it was 10 days. It was the worst 10 days of my life. It's a pain I can't access right now. But what I'm saying is I think societally we're in a lot of trouble. And I don't know if there's an answer. I wish there was 63 million people signing up to figure out how to save world hunger or stop the wars that don't need to be happening right now, or just literally anything. I wish there was people that wanted to do good instead of bad. I wish the internet didn't facilitate such atrocities. I wish, it's the internet it's the beginning of the end, and I miss the time before the internet. I really do. I don't think largely anything good has come from the internet, and I know you're going to all say I'm wrong. I understand that we're advancing as a society because of it. I understand that as a society we need to advance and we need to keep evolving, and I understand that great things could happen from the internet. In my experience with it, it has just given me severe anxiety, severe depression, overstimulation. I have had access to things that I don't want to see. I don't think it was better necessarily when wars happened and we didn't know what that looked like. But I don't think it's better that we do know what it looks like. It's fucking atrocious. It is bad. Like, you feel like you're on the front lines of like all these horrible things, and then your central nervous system is just getting whipped into a tizzy until you try and sleep, but then you can't sleep because the blue light is keeping you awake and your brain thinks it's daytime, and like blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, it all feels bad. It all feels scary. It all feels like we're just like 2 cartwheels away from getting hacked into an oblivion. Claude won't release their most recent AI because there's it's too advanced. It could show all of the weaknesses in the security systems that are currently in place to keep us protected, quote unquote protected. It all just feels crazy. Like it feels banana pancakes. And yes, we can be grateful and we can look at our insular lives and be grateful for our body and our mind and our health and our partners and our friends and everything. And I hope you guys do that, because that is the only thing keeping me from going into a complete spiral. The only thing keeping me from bottoming the fuck out right now is that, like, I am so loved and I have a wonderful partner. I have wonderful friends. I have a wonderful family. I mean, listen, my family, my sister and my dad. I learned in Biggie's, and this is how I'm going to tell you about Biggie. I'm just going to keep dropping things. I'm not going to tell you in one concentrated story because it's all too sad. But when I found out Biggie had stage 3 kidney disease, so basically I came back from that trip to Chicago, and he was sick. He was puking and he was shitting and he just wasn't keeping food down. And it was like, I was like, what the fuck's wrong with you? So I took him in. He had stage 3 kidney disease, and basically, you know, the vet was like, we can put him on IV fluids for 3 days, see if we can flush out his levels. And so I did that. I spent a small fortune doing that. The levels didn't go up, they went down. Or I'm sorry, they didn't go down, they went up. So basically I just threw that money flushed it down the toilet. And then I took him to, well, actually, no, then I called my sister. And basically the vet said, you know, you can take him to a specialist, but ultimately his kidneys are failing and it's just a matter of time before he wastes away. And at that point, when I was like, who the fuck says that to somebody? Like, who says it's just a matter of time before their dog wastes away? I was like, oh my God, he's going to like die. That was like the first time I ever realized he was going to die. And I called my sister and I told her, and she's, you know, she's also going through something similar with her dog right now. Her dog just got diagnosed with something in his throat, and so I called her, and I mean, I was like, you know, I'm crying. I was really upset. And I was like, you know, I just like don't think, you know. And she's like, oh, he's dead. He died. Oh, he died. Okay. All right. Well, the good news is he's going to die and he's going to be fine. Like, she just like went to full panic mode. And I was like, oh, this is not the person that I call during a tragedy. Like, I was like, no, he's not dead. Like, I have to give him I have to see if I want to go to a specialty doctor and get him like a feeding tube. And she's like, okay, well, the good news is if you do euthanasia, it's no pain to him. And I'm like, Heather, he's not dying. Like, in that point, I was like, he's not dying. And she's like, okay, well, she's just like very rigid with how she responds to things. I was like, maybe that was the wrong phone call to make. I love her so much. We laughed so hard about it, but it was like, that was not the phone call to make. So then I called my dad. And my dad, here's my thing with my dad. He's a hunter. We grew up on a farm. He's very matter of fact, like animals die before us, like doesn't get super attached to them, hasn't had an animal in his life in a long time. And I called my dad and I was like, you know, Biggie, and I'm trying to get like and he's like, what's he convulsing? And I was like, what is wrong with my family? Like, no, he's not convulsing. He has stage 3 kidney disease and he's not going to make it that much longer. And he's like, all right, well, that's the circle of life then, I guess, huh, kid? And I was like, oh my God, I need a new family. I'm just kidding. I don't. I love my dad and my sister so much. It's funny how people react to tragedy. And there's no right way to do it. I really don't believe there is. Obviously, grief is such a personal thing, and handling someone else's grief is also, it's a complicated thing to do. And I think, you know, I grieved so much. I grieved so much in the past few days, and it hits me in waves, and I feel like I'll get hit by a truck. But basically what happened is I took Biggie in to a specialist at Access Vet, and they're the ones who saved his life when he was having seizures. And the guy was like, listen, we can give him a feeding tube. And he's like, the feeding tube basically circumvents his appetite, so we don't need him to like want to eat in order to get him the nutrients he needs to restabilize his kidneys. And the feeding tube was obviously an arm and a fucking leg. It was very fucking expensive. And I was like, I will do anything for my dog, and if you genuinely think this will help him, I will do it. And I'm like, I called Chris and I asked him what he thought. And he's like, well, if he thinks, this is the right path forward. And he showed me another dog who had the feeding tube. It was this little Yorkie. And the Yorkie seemed fine. It seemed very like nonplussed by the fact this feeding tube was there. And like, did the Yorkie look like he was about to go snorkeling? Yeah. And, was the feeding tube so much money that like Biggie would be able to eat, but I wouldn't? Yeah. But I was like, that's my priority. My priority is keeping this dog alive and healthy. And so I did it. And when the feeding tube got put in and I dropped him off, but then Max had to pick him up because I was on the road doing shows, and he was just a different dog after that. And unfortunately, when literally I was in the plane, like wheels up, going to Denver to meet Raina, the doctor called me and was like, hey, I just want to let you know that like we put the tube in fine, but we also found a really big mass in his throat. And I wasn't sure if the mass was cancer, and so they biopsied it. And when I got back from the shows, his wound site had gotten infected. And this was not my dog anymore. He was in so much pain. And he was so sad. And he just wasn't my dog anymore. And he hated the feeding tube. And every time I tried to feed him, he would try and run away, but he didn't have the strength to. And so I made the decision to put him down at home. On Tuesday, the 21st at 11 a.m. But on Monday, when I was getting ready for bed, he stopped being able to breathe. And he had really bated breath. And he was like, and I had to take him in. And put him down. And that's my best friend, That is my dog. And I had a really bizarre reaction. Like, I was sobbing. I was sobbing on the way in. But then when I got there, and I held him in my arms to do it, I didn't cry. I didn't cry. I took him, before I took him in when he was having that really heavy breathing, I put him on his pee pad and he gave me just this unmistakable look of like, I'm sorry, I love you, but I have to go. And, sorry, you guys, I know it's your Monday morning and you're like on your commute to work and you're like, I don't want to hear someone crying about a dog. But yeah, I didn't cry after I put him down. It took me I woke up the next morning. Oh no, that's not true. I woke up at 4 a.m. Crying, mid-cry. And it's just been such a bizarre experience. I've never felt grief like this before in my life. That dog raised me. I was on a path to destruction when I got him. I was 24. And I was drinking a lot and I was partying a lot. And he had really bad separation anxiety, so when I would go out, I would come back and he would be like, whoa, 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 whoa. And I remember it just broke my heart so much that I had to stop going out so much. I had to stop leaving the house and partying and I would he was taken care of, but he was so loud and he was always just so sad when I was gone. And I really do think he was put in my life under a soul contract to help me, he taught me how to love something outside of myself. I was the only person that I had to look out for since, the time I was very young. And when I grew up on a farm, I really resented all of the animals because they were so much work. And I didn't I didn't really know that I was going to get a dog. I remember I would just always watch my friend Maddie's dog, Goldie Hawn, and it was this really cute French bulldog. And I loved just like having a buddy. Like I loved just like having someone around. So I got Biggie, and I really do think his soul contract with me was to save me from myself and to get me out of the depths of my addiction and the depths of my loneliness. And he did that. And like, we had such a funny life, he had such a funny personality. Min Pins are a funny breed. They don't really like anyone but their owner. And like, he would always give everyone like a side eye, and he's not like super cuddly. You know how some dogs are like cuddly and jumpy and like, give me attention and give me love. He always was like, would side eye a bitch and be like, I don't fucking trust you. I don't like you. I don't know who you are. And that's like me, he was like me. And I remember when I went to go pick him up, he side-eyed me, and I was like, do I have to take this dog? He doesn't like me. And she's like, oh no, that's just his breed. He thinks right now that I'm like, the breeder was like, he thinks right now that I'm his mama, but like he'll get over it. But like, he never stopped side-eyeing me his whole life. He just side-eyed me for like 11 years and 11 months. And like, I just love him so much. And he's the reason I believe in God. Like when I was getting sober, I was, really struggling with God. I've told this story 100 times. You guys have heard it, but like, I didn't get it. I didn't understand. And I was sitting down writing my 4th step, and he started going like ballistic at the gardener who is outside. We are inside. We're behind glass. We're safe. And he's, rah, 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 rah. And I was just like, Biggie, you're fine. You're safe. You can freak out if you want to, but you're good. And I was like, oh my God, that's how my higher power looks at me. And then from then on, I've just been like really okay with, not being in control. I've been really okay with accepting the existence of a higher power. And, in the same way that, Biggie's not the top of the line of intelligence, neither can I be. There's just no way I'm not that smart. And so he really raised me, and he was there. I got him in August of 2014, and then Chris and I started dating in January of 2015. So Chris and I had him for our whole marriage, and we co-parented him through our divorce, and he just had like a really good life. He was very loved, and he had a really good life, and I did everything I could for him, and I don't hold any regrets. I feel so grateful for him. I've never experienced a love like that, and also never experienced a pain like this. But it's like, I feel so honored to have had him. And I feel so honored that he chose me. So, I'm going through it. Sometimes I'm really sad. Sometimes I'm angry. Sometimes I'm in denial. The denial, I think, was more so when he got his diagnosis. And then like the negotiating, I'll spend this money, but he'll stay alive for another 4 years, or I'll do this, I'll do that. The bargaining. And you just go kind of back and forth. And I think that's it. Grief is a motherfucker. There's really nothing else I can say. Grief is a motherfucker. I'm like incredibly blessed that I have great friends and a great support system out here. That's it. That's all I'm going to say about him. I love him so much. I miss him every minute of every day. And that's all. Okay. Now that I've got the crying out of the way, you guys have been DMing me and asking me about my skincare, and I just want to tell you what's going on, because I've kind of been all over the place. I've been trying new stuff. I've been experimenting with stuff. I'm sort of on like a little skincare journey. Obviously, transparently, most of why my skin looks good is because I just went and saw Dr. Eric, and I got Dysport, and I got Sculptra, and in the past I've had a little filler. That's why my skin looks good, because I take medical grade care of it. Also, genetically, I'm lucky. My dad is in his 60s, but he looks like he's in his 50s. He still looks really young. He always has. And then my mom's just a pile of ash. So I would be ashy if I was taking after her, but I'm not. Okay, sorry, you guys. I can't stop having this sense of humor. I wish it would go away. Trust me. Literally, when Biggie died, I was like, my best friend Claudia texted me. She's like, when are you going home? Because I ran away to Miami the day afterwards. Mr. Manhattan. Oh my gosh, Max. You guys know it's Max. Mr. Manhattan took me down to Miami, and we had like a really nice night there. I was like, was just like numb, but we had like good sushi, and he had a few drinks, and it was a good night. But Claudia was like, hey, when are you going to be back? And I was like, tomorrow. Why? And she's like, well, I sent you flowers on Monday. And I was like, well, first of all, he died on Tuesday at like midnight, but like Tuesday. She's like, well, I knew you needed support before. And I was like, okay, well, I'll get the flowers when I'm back, unless they're not in water, and then they'll be dead like Biggie. And she was like, oh my God, Brittany. And I'm like, I can't stop. I'm so sorry. I can't stop. I wish I wasn't like this. I'm looking at all my flowers now, and they are so beautiful. And the lilies, I will say the lilies are kind of like what I consider a funeral flower, and also the best flower for grieving, because they open in stages. And I feel like as your grief sort of evolves, so do the lilies. So like some of them die off, some of them are just opening, but every day my house smells like lilies. And so I feel like reminded, I feel like his presence is kind of here with me. Yeah. Anyway, skincare, back to skincare. Sorry. So I've been like futzing around, and here's something I want to say immediately. This Medicube garbage that they're slanging on fucking TikTok, don't buy it. I took Instagram off my phone for a little while because it was making me just like bleh. And I immediately got on TikTok, which makes me feel less bad about myself, but it wastes more time because I can stay in a wormhole for a while, which is why it's a dangerous place to be. And I shop a lot. I've bought a lot of shit off TikTok Shop. But this Medicube that they're slanging in big bundles, no. Just don't do it. I bought the big bundle. My skin's breaking out. It feels like putting plastic on your face because they're promoting this this glass skin thing. That's like the trending thing is glass skin right now. Okay, so not for Medicube. I mean, here's the thing about collagen. So their whole thing is like everything is filled with collagen, but the body cannot actually process collagen through the skin. My sister told me why. Let me see if she'll pick up her phone right now to tell us why, because she's smarter than me, and that's pretty cool. Let me see.
Hey, Britt, how's it going?
Hi.
Hi.
I'm on the podcast. And I need you for a second.
Oh, okay.
Can you tell everyone why collagen doesn't absorb through the skin?
Oh. Do you want a technical answer?
Yes, I want both answers. I want the one for the smarts and one for the dumbs.
Okay. Well, I think, and I could be wrong, but I think because collagen, it cross-links into fibers.
Mm-hmm.
So in order for collagen to absorb through the skin, it will need to be in its smallest parts, right?
Mm-hmm.
And even when it gets absorbed, it's going to need to cross-link again, basically form chains again, so that it actually, makes supports underneath that skin, that dermal layer. Mm-hmm. So it all depends on what kind of collagen is being placed on top of the skin and whether it's actually incorporated into the structure below. Okay.
Okay, great. Now for the
Does
dumbs.
That make sense?
Was that for the dumbs or was that for the smarts?
I tried to hit both.
Okay. Okay. Because I just blacked out. I don't know. I black out all the time when you're talking. Okay. I love you so much. Thank you.
Okay. No worries. Bye.
Love me back.
What?
Say you love me back.
Oh, I do love you.
Okay. Thank you. Goodbye. Bye. That's little sister, big sister right there. My whole life I'm just like, please love me back. Please say you love me. No, she's so smart. Can you imagine having a sister that smart? Neither can I, because I just black out every time she talks. I'm like, dur, 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 dur. You know what I was thinking the other day when I was watching the Knicks game against my will? We're in Knicks household now. I was thinking I could never be a referee. Can you imagine how much fucking attention span you would have to be a ref? That's a gnarly undertaking. I would like just look at, because this guy like dribbled the ball out of bounds and the ref was standing right there and he didn't call it. And I was like, either it's rigged or he's thinking about dinner. You know, like everyone's like, the NFL's rigged. This is rigged. And I'm like, can't these guys just take a break from their brains to think about what they want to eat when they get home? What kind of porn they want to watch? You know, come on. We're all just people. We're all just doing our best. We're all doing our best. And I'll be honest, as a collective, it's not very good, but we're trying, you know. I saw this drunk driver the other day. Here's another thing I have to say. The drivers in Florida are banana pancakes. These are the craziest drivers in the world. I've never seen more atrocious wrecks than I have seen like in my life. I've seen probably 10 like flipped over cars, like completely ran through battering rams. Like people drive so insane here. I don't know what it is. I don't know if everyone's on crystal meth or if it's like the contrast of the slow elderly drivers and then like the fast ones on meth. I don't know, but somewhere in this equation there must be meth because everyone is driving so fucking unbelievably fast and so scary that I'm like scared to be on the road. I was going somewhere with that, but I forgot. Okay, you guys, back to the Art of Detachment. I want to talk more about this book because it has been a game changer for me. I've really enjoyed reading it, and it has made me kind of like reframe the way I'm going through life a little bit. It's talking about the power of calmness and the strength of stillness. Okay, so there's a parable of a samurai who approached a Zen master and asked, "Master, what is the difference between heaven and hell?" The master looked at the samurai and sneered, "You're nothing but a brute. You're too stupid to understand." Enraged, the samurai drew his sword, ready to strike. But just as he lifted his weapon, the master calmly said, "That is hell." The realization hit the samurai like a wave. He took a deep breath, calmed his mind, and bowed in gratitude. And that, the master said, is heaven. The samurai learned that his reaction dictated his experience of the world. And when he acted out of anger, he lived in hell. When he found calmness, he found peace. And this was so poignant to me because of the situation I went through earlier this year, thou which shall not be named. It has turned into our Voldemort of a situation. But I was so angry for so long. It was so consuming. And I knew, sure, I got fucked. 100%, completely, absolutely, I got fucked. And by the way, you guys wanted an update on that? I want you to know Chase ruled in my favor. It is a fraud case. It's open and closed. Like, done and done. It's fraud. So Chase ruled in my favor. It's not totally done yet, though, because we might have enlisted the troops. Anyway, but my reaction to it, my anger and my obsession and my staying in that rage, that was hell. I was going through hell. I put myself in hell, and like bad things happen to us, right? And it's like the arrow example. It's like you're going to get shot one time with the arrow, that is life. But the second arrow is optional. And the second round of pain and continuing to relive it and continuing to reread it and continuing to rethink about it, that is the hell of your own making. And I don't really wish that on anyone because it's a hamster wheel of death. And that's it. It's not life. It is the opposite of life. It takes the joy out of everything you do in life. And I just don't really wish that on anyone. Here's another thing. When your mind is scattered, emotions take control and decisions become reactive rather than intentional. But when you remain calm, you create space between stimulus and response. And this is something that we work on a lot in sobriety and in AA. It's the power of the pause and it's restraint of pen and tongue. So it's when you're activated, don't immediately respond because that is emotionally driven and not logically driven. So it's like if somebody pisses you off, the easiest thing is to fire off an email being like, and another thing, fuck you, fuck this, fuck that. But the thing to do to regain your peace or I guess not lose it in the first place is the restraint of pen and tongue. So don't pop off. Even though it's so good to pop off, it's the best speech you're ever going to regret, right? Like you're going to say everything you want to, and it feels so good. It feels so good to tell someone like, fuck you, fuck this, no one likes you, you're a hoe, you a stank bitch. Like, everyone's talking about you behind your back, everyone thinks you're fucking crazy, you're this, you're that. It feels so good to get that out, but then afterwards it feels so bad. It feels like, ooh, I didn't win, I lost. And there's a difference between standing up for yourself and losing control, and I think that difference comes in the pause. So just take the pause when you can. Here's the other question to ask yourself. Will this matter in a year? Because if the answer is no, then it's not really worth your energy. And that's tough because most things don't matter in a year, right? So then most things aren't really worth your energy. And it's like, yeah, you can't get steamrolled and you don't want people to take advantage of you and you don't want people to come into your home and steal your shit. But it's like, yeah, you know, just there's a fine line between standing up for yourself and losing your peace. And my dad always says to me, he's like, you know, peace is priceless. And if you can pay for it, do it. You know, so that is why he's lost his ass in both divorces, because it's the peace that he's paying for. He's paying for his peace of mind. And he's willing to, you know, give someone some cash, some land, whatever he's got, so he can have his peace. And I think that's really powerful and important. Good news about my dad, Charlie, he's coming down here in like a week because he's wiring Max's Bagel Shop. And so Charlie is going to be back on an episode soon. So I want you guys to DM me anything you want to know from Charlie. And by the way, you guys, I have read all of your responses about like what you want from this podcast, what you don't want from this podcast. I'm taking it all into consideration. I'm going to bring bad advice back. I'm going to get a little more structure. I am going to start a Patreon because mama's got to pay the bills. I think they're going to be very like low level tiers, right? I think it's going to be like $1 for an extra like 15 minutes of shit talking, where I might actually say some stuff that I can't say on here because like people are watching me, you know. I might actually like say some of the real tea. There's like a few situations in particular that I do want to tell you guys about, but I just haven't because I don't want to start shit, you know? So the Patreon, I'm going to try and get that up and running in the next like week or two. And then there's going to be a second tier to the Patreon. That's going to be $3 a month, where it's the 15 minutes of tea. Plus I'm going to read, because a lot of you have asked me for audio book recordings of my book. If you don't know, I have a book. I wrote a book called Stop Talking About Sex and Other Advice I Didn't Take. And I wrote it in the pandemic just for fun. I self-published it. I just put it out literally just for fun. So I'm going to read a chapter a week, and I'm going to give like commentary on the chapter. So all of those stories are like sexcapades and fun things and like funny stories in my life. I'll give you like more context that I wasn't legally able to give you in the book, because I do use names and I do talk about people that are like high profile individuals in there. So yeah, I'm excited for that. I've always wanted to find a reason to do an audiobook, so this is the way that I'm going to do it. Do not let the behaviors of others destroy your inner peace. And I think this is so important, right? Because it's not only the big things, you know, it's not only the Voldemort things. It's also the things, it's also the little things. It's also driving when this is the best excuse I can use, because I think a lot of us get really triggered by bad drivers. If you opt into patience rather than being aggro on the road, you can save yourself like a whole day, because getting worked up in traffic can ruin your central nervous system for a whole day. Your cortisol levels spike so high, and it's just, is it worth it? Is it worth it? I mean, a guy cut you off. Okay. Mr. Big Shot thinks he has somewhere important to go. Let him go, you know, let him go. Let Mr. Big Shot go. I just don't know. I think staying in control, the best way to stay in control of your body and mind is to allow people to kind of be assholes to a certain extent, just so that you don't lose your own peace. You know, you don't want their asshole behavior to like ruin your day. So when emotions like anger, frustration, or fear take over, the logical part of the brain, which is the prefrontal cortex, temporarily shuts down. In these moments, we say things we regret, we make poor decisions, or act in ways that don't align with true intentions. And I've done this, and I haven't just done this recently. I've done this in my life a lot, and I've had to make amends in sobriety for some of the things that I've done. Like, for example, when I first got into a relationship with Chris, literally Chris and I started dating 2 weeks after he left his first wife, and they broke up because she had an affair with another guy and got pregnant. And it was like this, it was a mess. And she completely disrespected him. And I fucking hated her. Okay. I hated her because I'm also a Blue Jay. I'm a Taurus. I'm protective. If I'm in a relationship with you or I'm friends with you, I will ride at fucking dawn over nothing. Okay. Over nothing. If someone spills fucking milk on your lap, I will shoot them in the fucking head. I am so protective of my friends and the people in my life. And it gets annoying to them. Like, they're like, we get you're trying to like protect, but like also you're being fucking crazy. You're being cuckoo nanners right now. Okay. But I was so protective of him, and she just did some fuck shit, right? Like, he gave her money to pay off the rest of the car that they had together. And then instead of paying off the car, she went to like Thailand on a baby moon, and she just kept fucking with his credit. She kept dinging his credit. So he then got like, she maxed out a charge card they had together, didn't pay the bill, and then like fucked his credit up. Like, she fucked his credit up 3 different times, and we were in the process of trying to buy a house. So it was affecting us gravely, like to the point where like if that bitch had a single dime to her name, we could have litigated, but it's like, it's not worth it. And he just kept being like very passive about it, very passive. He's like, hey, what's going on with this? Can you please handle this? Can you da-da-da? And he was like really nice. And I was like, why are you being nice? I was like, let's go fucking burn her house down. I know where she works. I'll go slash her fucking tires. Like, why are you being nice? And I sent the nastiest email I've ever sent to another human being, to this woman, this poor woman who, by the way, life is so fucking complicated. I have no idea what that relationship was like between her and my ex. I have no idea what made her do the things she did. Obviously, she probably didn't feel fucking great about it. Nobody feels great when they get caught having an affair and then immediately get pregnant with like this other guy's kid who you barely know because you just know him through an affair. Like, that couldn't have been a safe space for her to be in. She probably didn't feel great about it. And, I went for the fucking jugular. I insulted her. I insulted her job. I insulted her partner. I insulted her child. I pretty sure I called him a bastard child. I went nuts. And whatever. She never responded to me. She took me off the email and like responded to Chris, and I was like, no, fight me. Like, I wanted to fight this bitch. And then it went away, And then a few years later, at the time I was working in advertising. I was working in recruitment, and I was pretty much done. I was doing comedy almost full time, and Snapchat reached out to me to work for them. And I didn't want to. But I gave them stupid terms. I gave them dumb as fuck terms. I was like, you can pay me $150 an hour plus 20% of the salary of anyone who I hire. And they're like, okay. And so they did it. So I made banana bread in like 4 months. But when I got hired to Snapchat, guess who was heading up accounting there? Guess who was the money lady there? That's right. Chris's ex-wife. And so then I was like face to face with this person that I had like obliterated via email. And I had to send her an amends, and I have to be like, this has been killing me for years. I should absolutely not have spoke to you like that. I hurled the most derogatory epithets I could have ever hurled at you, and I feel so sorry and bad, and we have to work together. I didn't know you worked here. She had like blocked me on LinkedIn because I was a recruiter. So she like blocked me, and I was like, okay, that's fair. But like, because she blocked me, I didn't know she worked at Snapchat. So, but it's like, it always comes around, if you think you get away with something like that, if you think you get away with that kind of behavior, if you think I fucking told them, like, I promise you, God will humble you. And, in that case, that is absolutely what happened. The paradox of effortless action. There's a curious paradox in life. The more you force something, the harder it becomes. You've likely experienced this before. Maybe you struggled to remember a name only for it to pop into your mind hours later when you stopped trying. Or perhaps you worked tirelessly on a problem, and the moment you stepped away, the solution revealed itself. This is a concept of woo-wee. Woo-wee! Okay, this is the concept of woo-wee! Okay, it's a Taoist concept that translates roughly into effortless action or flowing with life. At first glance, it may seem like passivity, doing nothing and hoping things work out. But in reality, woo-wee is about moving in harmony with life, acting with wisdom and efficiency rather than force, and struggle. Tension is who you think you should be. Relaxation is who you are. So imagine swimming in a river. If you fight against the current, thrashing and panicking, you'll exhaust yourself. But if you relax and move with the flow, you can navigate with ease. Life works the same way. When you force outcomes, cling to control, or resist the natural rhythm of things, you create unnecessary friction. And I've felt this a lot in my career and in my life. I've tried to force things. I've tried to force timing. I've, made vision boards and manifested and been like, I want my movie to get made by this time, and I want my TV show to get made by this time, and I want this, and I want this, and I want this. And then it doesn't happen, and it leaves this sense of emptiness and void and disappointment. And then, I'll look back at that same vision board a few years later, and I'll realize everything happened. It just happened in its own time. And you can't fight, and you can't control, and you can't play God. So like, once again, just releasing and not playing God and not fighting, and know that everything is happening in its natural order, and if it's for you, it won't miss you. I do want to hop into bad advice quickly, and then we're going to do word of the week, and then we're going to dismount. For those of you who are not doing the artist way, if you are doing the artist way, stick around. Just know my energy is a little low because I'm sad. This is funny. Someone's like drunkenly DMing me. This is funny. Someone just drunkenly DMing me on here. Hey, that story about Biggie, AGDTHE. The gardener resonated with me. Thanks for sharing. I'm currently drunk, and I realize how easy it is to commit to not drinking when I'm drinking. I love you. I love you, besties. Hang in there. Do your best. It's a wild world out there. If you can't not drink, I get it. Okay. All right, bad advice of the week. Hey, Britt, love the podcast. Thank you, love you. Would love your bad advice on a topic. My best friend of 15 plus years married a total loser cheater. I'm talking like used to hire hookers, paid for nudes, was on all the apps, disgusting man. She caught him cheating before they even got engaged. He then proposed to distract her from his shitty behavior, which worked. We got in a huge fight after she told me they got engaged. She basically told me if it's a mistake, let her make it and learn from it. Preach. So after that, I shut my mouth. I was her maid of honor and just hoped he would change. Well, obviously that didn't happen. They got married in 2021. Our whole friend group has never trusted him. I just began warming up to him this year, and I found out he had an affair while we were on my bachelorette in March. He deleted 24 hours of Ring camera footage and had no explanation. Our other best friend told me this. She no longer tells me, best friend, no longer tells me any of their problems or opens up to me because she knows what I'll say to leave his nasty ass, obviously. She's been an absolute wreck, drinking into an oblivion every day. Any event we have, she just gets trashed and passes out. She's gained 50 pounds in the past year, pretty sure from depression. Meanwhile, this is all in the midst of my bride era. My wedding is next month, and I feel bad about the timing of everything. Her marriage disintegrating while mine is just beginning. She's my maid of honor. I want to support her through this just as much as I want her to support me through some of my happiest moments. I'm also just frustrated she won't share any of this with me, and I have to hear it from other friends. Any advice on how to navigate through this? Ooh, girl, I've been there. I've been in almost this exact same situation. And it wasn't necessarily that the man was a bad man. It was that my girlfriend was not ready to marry this man, and she was kind of the bad man. She was cheating and running around and doing all this horrible shit. And I was like, girl, please do not marry him. You don't want to marry him. And then she got married, and then she was having an affair the whole time. They got divorced. That girl's with someone else. But I did the same thing, and I will always do the same thing. And I don't think it's the wrong thing to tell people like, hey, this person is not good. I do not think person is good for you for X, Y, and Z reasons. You can tell them once. That's the rule. You can tell them once. If they don't listen, you have to zip your fucking mouth and let them ride. Like, your friend is not wrong in saying, like, you need to let me make this mistake. Certain people, places, things, relationships are put in our lives for our own development, for our own soul contracts, right? The soul contract is what we come down here to learn and what we come down to experience and to grow in the ways that we need to grow. Your friend needs to grow in this one particular very painful way. The writing is all over the wall. She's gaining weight. She's depressed. She's wasted. She's miserable. Obviously, you're not going to be happy with somebody who's running around town fucking everyone they meet. Okay? But your friend needs to make that decision for herself because it is her life, and all she needs is your support. And I know you don't want to give blind support because we're not those kind of girlies, right? I'm going through this with another friend right now who is getting cheated on left, right, and sideways. And she doesn't have the strength, the emotional strength to walk away unless she meets someone else first. So she's waiting for someone else to come. And I'm like, honey, energetically, nobody else is going to come because you're all tied up in this fucking mess. But you just have to unfortunately, here's the thing about people is like, we got to hit our bottoms on our own. It doesn't matter how many times people told me I needed to get sober. I needed this. I needed that. I went to jail and I drank through jail. Okay. People don't see their bottom until they're there, you know? And she will have to one day, like the spirit will have to move through her to be like, fuck this, fuck that. I'm done. I'm better than this. I'm leaving. It is incredibly hard for people to do that. I think the strongest of women can get debilitated by relationships like these because they gaslight you, they manipulate you, they lie to you, and they abuse you psychologically, emotionally, mentally. It's abuse. Okay. So unfortunately, what you have to do is spend all of your energy on yourself, focus on your wedding, focus on what's your bride season, focus on your bad bitchness, and hopefully you can be the light that pulls her out of the dark, but you have to be the light by just being the light, by just being on, okay? You're not the person pulling somebody out of the ocean after the Titanic sunk, okay? You're not that person. You are the lighthouse in the distance, showing the person the way to land or showing the person the way to safety, okay? That is who you have to be. You have to be a steady light, but you're being that light for yourself. You can't be anything else for her because you already tried and she already ignored it and she doesn't talk to you about this kind of stuff because she knows you're going to judge her. That she doesn't feel safe because she feels stupid. Okay. And that is what you have to do. You just have to be the light. You have to focus on your season. Hopefully she doesn't come to your bachelorette party oh wait, your bachelorette party already happened. So she did come. You know, hopefully the vibes can be good for the wedding and yeah, just tell her this. We all got to get our first marriage out of the way. All right. We all got to get our first marriage out of the way to meet Mr. Right. There's a big difference between Mr. Right now and Mr. Right. All right. And you just got to tell her that. And then, you know, maybe put some apple juice in her champagne glass and be like, bitch, slow down. Because here's the thing about alcohol that makes me so mad that people don't realize. Not only do you get goofy and sloppy and shitty and people are like, whoa, what's wrong with her? But you also get fat because it's so many calories, right? I think if you guys, listen, you don't have to do it. You can do whatever you want. But if you want to see an amazing transformation in your skin and the way that you look, stop drinking for a month. 1 month, see what happens. The weight's going to fall off your chin. I used to have like the gnarliest double chin. And yes, I got Kybella, but that only did half the job. The rest of this came in when I quit drinking. I finally had a fucking jawline. I'm like, where have you been all my life? Finally had a jawline. I didn't have one for so long. The glow up that comes after quitting drinking is the only reason that I'm staying sober through life crushing events. I have had 3 good reasons to drink this year. And, yeah, so just all you can do is lead by example, enjoy your wedding, enjoy your bliss. You know, unfortunately you do have to let people make their own mistakes. That's life, babe. But you're a good friend. You're a good friend for trying. I will always try. I always tell my friends when I don't like their partner, I'm like, this guy's a fucking loser. Loser. He's a loser and he's mean and he's misogynistic and he's weird and nobody really likes him at parties. He's kind of a strange vibe. And they're like, I love him. I'm going to marry him. And I'm like, okay, but you know he's a loser and I told you. I've had this happen before. Okay, patrimony is our word of the week. Patrimony, heritage or legacy. Someone's patrimony can be either a financial inheritance or an ancestral heritage. A patrimony can also be a church endowment. That's confusing. Patrimony, it's a noun. Patrimony. 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 Okay, besties. I love you all so much. Thank you for being with me on a challenging week. We are going to get through this together. This world is a hard fucking place, but we are here side by side. If you want any bad advice, please send it to my DMs or the Talkin Schmitt DMs is actually easier because my DMs are fucking crazy. So if you send it to the Talkin Schmitt DMs, also if you're not following me on Instagram, please go to Talkin Schmitt and follow my Instagram. That would mean so much to me. I have to do these things where I plug it because I'm just trying to grow my little baby show. So if you can also, the Patreon link will be coming in the next week. Look, keep your eyes out for that. And then also Follow me on Spotify, Apple. If you can rate me, if you like it, you could rate it and give it a little 5 stars. That would be nice. If you don't like it, don't rate it. Okay. And then subscribe to my YouTube. It's Brittany Schmitt Comedy. I'm in there. I'm responding to you guys. I'm like, this is like way more interactive for me than the last podcast because this feels like my baby. Okay. I love you guys so much. I'll see you next week unless you're sticking around for The Artist's Way. All right, you guys, week 1 of The Artist's Way. What a week to start this on for me. It has been a real test to my commitment to this because I'll be honest, the sort of devastation I've been going through on a personal level would have been a perfect excuse for me to say, you know what? I don't want to do it. I don't want to be creative. I don't want to be an artist, and I don't want to know the way. Okay? I just want a fucking handful of cookie dough and maybe put a fucking gun in my mouth. But because I had you guys to be accountable to, I was like, I have to do it. I have to do it. I must do it. So week 1 is recovering a sense of safety, and it's talking about the shadow artist. And I love the idea of the shadow artist, right? Because basically it's like when we're young, we need to be nurtured and encouraged and told to like explore our creative outbursts and our artistic inclinations and to follow anything in the direction of, you know, anything that our heart is calling to. If our parents were like, yes, do that. Yes, you're amazing at that. Yes, see where it goes. But usually they're like, okay, you can do that now, but that's not practical. Okay, you can do that now, but down the road, that's not going to work. Okay, you can do that now, but you're going to need to get a job. And the shadow artist is just like beat down from the time we're very young. You know, like when I was a kid, so my mom always really encouraged me. This is one positive thing I can say about my mom. She always really encouraged me. She thought the world of me. She thought I could be anything. But she encouraged me in directions that kind of followed her fancy rather than mine, right? So like when I was in, I think I was like in 4th grade, and it was, what do you want to be when you get older day? And my mom had implanted in my head at that time that I wanted to be a plastic surgeon. So imagine being a 4th grader, being like, I want to be a plastic surgeon. And do you know why my mom wanted me to be a plastic surgeon? Because she wanted free tits. You know, she wanted somebody to be able to tink, 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 tink on her body without charge. She at the time had gajongos. Okay. She had big fake titties. And I don't know if they were aching or if she needed some sort of modification that she couldn't afford or what was going on. But she's like, you're going to be a plastic surgeon. And so then I was like, I will be a plastic surgeon. And that's what I told everyone. I was, 8 years old or however old you are in 4th grade. I don't even know if it was 4th grade. I was an age of a child, and it's none of my business because my life is none of my business. Okay. And it's that time when a baby artist was told to think you're a baby doctor or you're a baby lawyer or you're a baby something else that pays the bills. Okay. So this is very interesting because this is something that I had to work against, and, I had this idea of myself. I'm going to be a plastic surgeon. I'm going to be this. And my teacher would be like, why would you want to be that? And I was like, I just really want to be that. Okay. Don't ask any fucking questions. Me and my mom will kick your ass. Okay. So, I wasn't not encouraged to be an artist. So here's the other thing. She also like put me in acting classes and like tried to get me in modeling, and like modeling's not, I would say, the most creative thing in the world, but she was like trying to pimp me out for my looks. And then she put me in acting class, and I wasn't a naturally good actor, and I was scared, and I didn't like it. And I didn't like whatever fancy fucking idea she had for me to be on TV. I was just like, stop. She would drive me down to Chicago every week, which by the way is it's almost a 2-hour drive. She would drive me down there for these classes, and I just was no good. I didn't try. I was scared and I didn't like it, but that's not what I was supposed to be. That was not my journey. That was not my passion. When I was young, I liked finger paints and I liked clay and I liked pottery. And that's what I did this week for my artist date. Okay. So people who are young writers or people who are naturally gifted in certain areas, they can be pushed towards things like, a writer can be turned into a lawyer or, a medical school because they're smart, our parents push us in directions that feel safe when really they're just abandoning our inner artist. So just think of that time when you were young and the things you like to do and then the direction you were pushed in and how you got to where you are today. I think it's really important to kind of understand how this process works, especially for those of you who have kids, so that you can encourage them and their inner child to pursue their dreams and to follow it and to chase it. I just saw on Instagram yesterday, there's a 12-year-old kid who has like a huge exhibition in an art gallery. And that's unbelievable. A lot of artists go their whole lives without experiencing that type of success. But he had that success because he had that encouragement. And I think, you know, encouragement on that level can also come from a great deal of comfortability. And, you know, obviously like oil painting is very fucking expensive. So that kid had a pretty privileged life and probably a leg up, and maybe his parents paid for the studio. I don't know. I didn't look into it. But like, I'm just saying, when you have babies and you're nurturing them and fostering them, just do the things that you wish your parents would have done for you and your inner artist, so that you can take care of your inner artist and not become a shadow artist. Because I will tell you guys, I worked in advertising for 10 years and it is filled with shadow artists, including myself. I love to write. I always knew I was going to be a writer. I got very fortunate and I met Kobe Bryant when I was in Milwaukee, and he had an ad agency in LA, and he's like, you should be a copywriter. And I didn't know what a copywriter was, but he pushed me towards that. He's like, you're smart, you're funny, you're going to be a writer. And I always loved writing. So I knew that like that would be so fun. And he introduced me to Brian Ford, who has become one of my best friends and longtime mentors. And at the time he ran Zambezi. And I wrote under Brian Ford for my internship, which was 3 months. But then after the internship ended, they didn't have room for me on the creative floor. So what they did was they put me in creative recruitment. Okay. And so creative recruitment is where you're hiring the art directors, you're hiring the copywriters, but you're not doing any of the actual work. And every once in a while they would throw me a brief. It was like, you know, throw the dog a bone type style. And I would work on creative stuff and I would get lit up. But what I didn't like about being a creative in advertising was that creatives in advertising were told by clients yes or no. And oftentimes I would think my ideas were fucking brilliant and the client would be like, I don't like it. And that would be the end of the conversation. And I was like, what the fuck? I don't like this kind of creativity. So luckily I found stand-up, which is the only type of creativity where you do not get told what to do or how to do it, or there are no rules. It's you say what you want when you want, and some people are going to like it and some people aren't, and that's it. There's no rules. But advertising at its core was filled with shadow artists. So I worked at Kobe's agency for a few years. And then after that, I worked at Media Arts Lab, which is Apple's agency. And these are some of the most brilliant, talented creative directors, art directors, copywriters in the world. And they're miserable. And they're getting paid money hand over fist. And they will never have to work, or they'll never have to worry about their bills not being paid, but there's something spiritually within them that's quite bankrupt, because they're almost creative. They're almost independent thinkers, but they're not. They're still kind of in these golden handcuffs. And I think, I realized I was a shadow artist when I was there, because I was like, I'm a fucking comic. I don't belong here. I don't belong in recruitment. I don't belong in advertising, period. I was like, I'm a fucking comedian. And I went out there and I showed the world I was, but I got very fortunate. And I just want to say this too, when you guys are starting to go into creative recovery, just know the very early stages of creative recovery are very uncomfortable. We don't want to be showing anyone in our household or our friendship circles or anyone the things we're working on. Whatever it is we start to work on, whether it's painting or writing or whatever your like heart song is in this couple of weeks that we're doing this, let's not show anyone for the first couple of weeks, right? Because if anyone gives this baby artist who has been pushed down by society and parents and whatever, if anyone gives this baby artist a hard time, we're gonna fucking lose our mind. Okay, so let's just keep everything we're doing real private. We're here to heal our old wounds and not create new ones. So we want to kind of heal that part of us that wasn't nurtured when we were young. We don't want to show someone, you know, a painting after we haven't painted in 14 years and be like, look, and they're like, it's hideous. And then we're like, so just be real careful with that. And here's a really, really important line from this chapter. It is impossible to get better and look good at the same time. So try. All we're doing here is trying. And I remember Travis Scott said this in an interview once. Or was it A$AP Rocky? I don't know. One of those two said in an interview, since when is it lame to try? Since when is it lame to try? People are on the internet, and this is the other thing, people on the internet that are criticizing, critics in general, are shadow artists. They're people that think they could direct. They're people that think they could act. They're people that think they could write. They're the people that think they can do it better than you and they know how it should be done, but they're not brave enough to do it. So just remember that about critics in general. Critics are people that are not brave enough to do the thing they think in their heart they should do, and so instead they criticize. So they're kind of like small, lonely people anyway. the enemy within is the core negative beliefs, right? So the things that I highlighted all of them, but I need you to look at these and figure out which ones are your own. And even if these ones don't resonate with you, you'll have your own, which is like, here's a list of commonly held negative beliefs. Everyone will hate me. It'll hurt my friends and family. I'll go crazy. I'll abandon my friends and family. I can't spell. I don't have good enough ideas. I'll be upset with my mother or father, or I will upset my mother or father. I will have to be alone. I will find out if I'm gay. I'll be struck straight. I'll do bad work and not know it and look like a fool. I'll feel too angry. I'll never have any real money. I'll get okay. All these things that are keeping us back from just fucking trying. Just try. None of these core negatives need to be true. They come from us, from our parents, our religion, our culture, our fear, and our fearful friends. Each one of these beliefs reflects notions we have about what it means to be an artist. Negative beliefs are exactly that. They're beliefs. They're not facts. Okay. So we need to just dismantle these beliefs. These beliefs, they're always going to attack the jugular, okay? They're going to go for your sexuality, your lovability, your intelligence, whatever vulnerability they can find in you, they will attack. So here's negative beliefs about artists. They're drunk, crazy, broke, irresponsible, loners, promiscuous, doomed, unhappy, born, not made. Correct. Those are all correct. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. Positive alternatives. Artists can be sober, sane, solvent, responsible, user-friendly, faithful, saved, happy, discovered, and recovered. Okay. There's a lot of either ors that we have too. Like I can either be in a romantic partnership or successful. You know, I can either be this or that. No. You can be everything. All right. Here's another thing you'll notice about yourself, and this is one thing I've learned in life and through this course, is that envy is a compass. Envy points you to what you want to be doing. So if there's anybody in the world that you're envious of, whether they're a singer, an actor, a writer, a director, whatever they do, if you're envious, that's a compass to something that you want to be doing. It's an arrow. Okay. Envy is an arrow, so use it as that. Use it as a tool to figure out what you want to be doing, because oftentimes when we sit down and we watch TV and we're like, this acting is so bad, this actor sucks. That's something I do a lot. I'm like, acting has gotten so bad. These actors are horrible. Everyone is bad at this. That's because maybe secretly I want to act, and maybe I want to be an actor, and maybe I think I could do it better, but maybe I'm too fucking scared because the cameras scare me. When it's just me and a couch and a camera, I can do it. But when it's me and a camera and a crew and a script and dialogue that I have to remember, I freak out, but I know I can do it. But I'm so scared. Okay. So what we have to do to get rid of these negative core beliefs is affirmations. Affirmations give us a sense of safety and hope. At first, when we start to do them, they're going to feel really dumb. They're going to feel embarrassing and hokey and lame, and we're going to think of a million reasons why we shouldn't do them. But what's interesting is when you start to say them to yourself, when you start to say, I deserve love, I deserve fair pay, I deserve to have a rewarding creative life, I'm a brilliant and successful artist, I have rich creative talents, I'm competent and confident in my creative work, I make millions of dollars making money. When your brain starts to fight you against that, that's when you're going to realize the place that you have to fine tune and that you have to work on the most, right? So I will say, like, my creativity makes me millions, and I'm like, you're a loser. You have to fucking launch a Patreon for $1 a month because you can't afford to do this on your own. Okay? That's what my brain is saying. I really want you guys to understand that inside of my brain too is like a little voice that's like, you're a fucking loser. Nobody likes your podcast. Nobody's listening to this. Everybody just wanted it when it was a different format with your co-host, and nobody wants to be here for just you. And this is all very silly and you should stop. Those are my blurts. Okay? Those are my negative. They're not necessarily negative core beliefs. Those are blurts. Okay. Those are like those are tough too, because some of them are true and they're backed by numbers, right? Like I can look at the numbers and be like, the numbers do not lie. This is a different thing. This is much smaller. This is not as good. Nobody wants to watch blah, 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 blah. And I can go on and on, but instead I'm going on and on. I'm just trudging forward. I'm pushing through the discomfort, and in an attempt to rewire those, I'm doing positive affirmations, which include my creativity makes me millions. My creativity makes me millions. My creativity makes me millions. My creativity. That's not so insane to say. There's 20 people in my phone book who their creativity makes them millions. Okay. But they're also still not happy. So that's the other thing. Once you get there, it's also just like I don't know. Once you get there, enjoy it. Or I guess just enjoy it right now, because you never know. You will be amazed at the rotten things your subconscious will blurt down. Write them down. Those blurts. Okay, so those are the blurts we have to go against. Creative affirmations. I am a channel for God's creativity, and my work comes to good. My dreams come from God, and God has the power to accomplish them. As I create and listen, I will be led. Creativity is the Creator's will for me. My creativity heals myself and others. I'm allowed to nurture my artist. Ba 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 ba. You can read them all. They're on page 36 and 37. Okay, so for the homework this week, every week it's an artist date and morning pages. I have done both of those, but I will be very honest. My morning pages have been pretty fucking sad because my dog died. I haven't been able to make it 3 pages. I'm making it to like 2. Can you guys just do your best? Just do your best. I'm doing how I feel. I'm doing gratitude. And that's all. My brain is pretty numb this week. I don't know if it's like a trauma response or like some sort of block is happening. I have been like fully numb this week. But I will say I went on an artist date. I took myself to a pottery studio in West Palm Beach and I threw clay. And I haven't done that since I was a kiddo. All right. I used to go throw clay at Catholic Memorial in Waukesha in summer. And I loved it. And I had so much fun and it was working with my hands. And you know, when I was a kid, I didn't have nails. So, like, I didn't have to worry about that. Yesterday, I had some nails. I actually got them cut shorter so I can go throw clay again. Because, like, I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel so inspired. I didn't feel so creative. I didn't feel like, oh, my God, like, this is going to open some major creativity for me. But I did it. And I think that's important to show up and do it. I made myself a coffee cup. And I made myself a little bowl. And I made myself something else, and then I had to go to my nail appointment, so I couldn't stay, but I did it. And then I have some writing to do, and we can talk about all that next week because that's the rest of my homework is completing the writing from this week. And talking about some of the censors, which are the negative, nasty people in our lives who have made us to believe the horrible things about ourselves and that we can't create and we can't make cool shit. For those of you who are going through this with me, I really applaud you. I'm so proud of you. And I hope you find something wonderful and spiritual on this journey. I love you so much, besties, and I will see you next week.